now before we get started, I need you guys to go right now and subscribe, like, and also share. Now today, as you can see by the title, I will be giving you a story time on what actually happened with me when I was 21 years old when I was being stalked. Yes, that was a crazy situation that I had went through, but I will give you a full detail on what happened and how everything had ended and stuff like that. Alright guys, so I was approximately 21 years old when this whole situation had occurred. I was still living with my parents, but I did work a full-time job. Yes, everybody's telling me, oh, why should live with her parents? It's okay to live with your parents until you be able to have be financially stable to move out and get your stuff together. But I was 21 years old when I was living with them and stuff. Now in my parents' apartment complex, they had gotten a new security guard, like to watch the whole building and resident people coming in and out the building. The landlord had informed everybody in the resident that was going to have security guards in that building and stuff. So we had, well, actually my parents had to give their phone number and the door number to where they lived at. So if anyone trying to come into the building to see them, they had to show ID, and the security guard had to call my parents and let them know that somebody has a visitor coming into their home. Now this particular time, we already met all the security guards that was working and stuff like that, but there was one particular security guard, I forgot his name, but he was a little bit older than me. Mind you, I was 21 years old, and it was something about him that, you know, it didn't really resonate to me that he was going to be the one that's going to be actually stalking me. So at this time, one particular day, I was heading to work, and he had stopped. He had asked me if I was in a relationship. I told him no, and he also said that he was interested. When he had said that he was interested, and mind you, I wasn't feeling real comfortable with him at the time because there was something off about him. So when I had said, I had made up a lie, said that I had a boyfriend and stuff, and he had left it alone. So months had went on, and I have noticed that he kept like knocking on my parents' door. By the time my parents didn't know anything about, you know, what I thought about this person. And when I did met him, something weird about him that it didn't sit too well with me. So, you know, he was always talking to my father and stuff like that, and seeing how everybody was doing. And then he ended up bringing my name to see how I was doing and stuff like that. And my, you know, my father's a friendly person, and he would have a conversation with anybody. That's one thing I love with my father. He's very friendly with everybody. So when I had came out of work, I had sat down in the living room, and my father was there with my sister. I don't remember my brother was there, but I know my sister was there. My brother was little. And he had asked my father, you know, he told my dad, I will give you $5,000 if you let me marry your daughter. So my father looking at him like, what did he just say? So he was older than me, and I was 21. So my father said, repeat that again, but he said it in Spanish. And he repeated it again, and my father started, you know, looked at him crazy and started getting upset. And he told the guy, like, well, you can't be offering money to marry my daughter because my daughter is 21 and you older than her. And I'm not going to get money from you for you can marry my child. It's not going to happen. So at this present time, my dad was getting pissed off, and my dad had asked him to leave, but he was very persistent of not leaving at the house. He said, no, I won't, you know, give you the $5,000 if you let me marry her. So when he had said that, my mother had called the landlord and explained it to her what was going on. And my landlord had told my mother that she's going to look into it and stuff like that, but just don't pay him no mind. Now, mind you, this is when I was 21, like a while back ago. So at that present time, when my dad had, you know, kicked him out the house and got pissed off because of what he was saying, he took the guy took the, like, you know, seemed to me he took the defensive because my father denied the money and denied to have him marry me. So he got pretty upset, and that time when he was coming into work, he was like, had a little angry face, or when he looked at me, he was pissed off. He stopped talking to my father at that present time. And then that's when my parents started receiving weird phone calls. Now mind you, like at the beginning of the story I told y'all, he had gotten our phone number because they had to make sure that people that come and visit will be able to contact us and let us know that somebody's visiting. So he got our phone, my parents' phone number, and it was always a time when he leaves out of work around 8 o'clock at night, he'll start calling the phone. Now, when the first time that he called the phone, he asked to speak to me. And when I answered the phone and I got the phone, he's like, oh, you know who I am? I was like, no, I don't know who you are. And he specifically said he's a security guard. And I said, why is you calling me? And then he said, no, I want to take you out and everything. And I told him I had a boyfriend, which I lied, and I didn't want no relationship with him. So he got real pissed off over the phone, and he said, oh, you're going to be mine or whatever. So that kind of freaked me out. I let my parents know what was going on, and I hung up the phone. So that particular next day, my father confronted him. Now, my father was pissed off because he couldn't take no as an answer. So my father confronted him, and, you know, my father was getting ready. How can I say? He was getting ready to hit him at the time. And they had hold my father back because, remind you, people do get an altercation around where my parents living at. They can lose their apartment. So at this point, my parents called the landlord again and explained to them what was going on. So they did call him to the office and told him that he can't be doing that or he's going to get fired. Now, I don't understand why they didn't fire at this present time, because he kept, you know, asking my father to marry me, and he had constantly was calling. So he said, oh no, he's going to leave everything alone, because they had everybody in the well, we was at, my parents was in the office and stuff like that, before they can resolve the issue. So my father did warn them, I said, leave my child alone, because it's going to get more worse than what it is. So during that time, around that time, he started calling again. Like, my parents received a phone call from this guy like about 3 or 4 times a day. And this time he would not talk. He would play music. He'll call and say chuleta, which I don't know why he was calling me pork chop, but for some reason he was calling me pork chop. And then he'll say that he's watching me and stuff like that. So it was creepy overall. And at that present time, I know my parents had called the cops and explained to them what's going on, but they really couldn't do nothing because there was not enough evidence. You know how it is with these cops. You have to have evidence, or they had to specifically do something for them to, I guess, to arrest him. So during that time, after that, my dad confronted him again, and they was gonna get into a fight and stuff. But you know, my dad was an older person, and they couldn't really, you know, get into altercations because it was putting my parents' apartment at risk. So when we got to the bottom of the whole situation of him constantly calling and everything, we went and my parents actually went and got into it with the landlord, telling him that he needs to go or fire him, because now he is persistent calling every day and he's not leaving my child alone. So during that time when he was working, they did have fired him. He did left. I thought everything was all okay. The phone call had stopped. Him showing up at my parents' apartment, everything had stopped, and I'm thinking everything was okay. So one time I had gotten laid off because where I worked at, their offices had closed. So at this time, when I had went to apply unemployment due to the fact that the place where I worked at was closed, I had to go over there to apply. But for some reason, I didn't know how he found out I was there, but he had popped up. But this time he didn't came to me or talk to me or anything like that, due to the fact, I guess, my parents had called the cops on him and stuff like that. But when he was there, he just kept looking at me and was giving me that weird look. So I had called my father, and I told him where I was at and let him know that this person had popped up to where I was at. So then my dad had came fast, and when my dad had came, he had left. My father waited until I get everything done, and he would walk me back home. Now, when I did find a job and stuff like that they had provided for me, I had went to work, and I had noticed him again, but this time he was like in a car, and he, I guess, was following me from where I lived at to where I was working at. So I had told my father that again, and then from there he started walking me to my job, and we also informed the cops and everything. The cops, they spoke to him and told him to leave us alone, and if that doesn't work out, that they was gonna, you know, arrest him and everything. So during that time, he had stopped following me from my job and everything, but we started receiving phone calls again. So when we had received a phone call and we knew it was him, that particular time, about 3 or 4 days later, my dad had seen him confront him, and my dad got into it with him, which months down the line, that's when everything had stopped. Now, to this day, sometimes when I do walk, because to take my kids to school and stuff like that, I usually call either my sister or I'll be on the phone with somebody, because that kind of like freaked me out. I don't know where this man is at now. After the whole incident that occurred, he just vanished. He left. Haven't heard from him or anything like that. Thank God, knock on wood and stuff. But that was the most craziest thing that I ever experienced. I was young, 21, and I was scared to walk by myself or to be around anybody, because I had that fear that he was behind me or he was around where I was living at. So, but thank God nothing went to the extreme that, you know, that I had to protect myself to make sure that I was okay. And thank God that he went, I don't know where he went, but he moved on, he left, and I have not seen him since. So guys, that's particularly the story of me being stalked when I was 21 years old. And hopefully nobody don't have to go through it, and if people is actually going through it, and I just pray that, you know, the justice system will be able to help y'all with that situation, because being stalked and constantly looking around your surroundings is very, very scary. All right guys, so that's all the story time I have for y'all today. So I hope y'all have a very good day today. If y'all have any questions or want to leave a comment, y'all feel free to leave a comment down below. But also make sure that y'all share, like, and also subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time with a brand new video.